To those who have been excluded by Christians, to those who have gone to church their whole life, and to those who are exploring, welcome. We hope that Oak Life Church can be a home for you. If you have been rejected by the church as a person of color, as a woman, as an LGBT person, as a non-Christian, or for any other reason, we're sorry for the way you were treated. We believe that God loves you, and we would be honored by your presence. We'll tell you a little about ourselves, and we hope we can journey together. We hope to love people the way Jesus does. We don't want to judge. We want marginalized people to be welcome here, and we are still improving as an inclusive place. We long for peace and justice on earth. We build this through community service, generosity, and activism. We value community, and we value building supportive relationships with each other. We love creativity, and we love the way God speaks to us through art. We don't claim to know the truth fully, but we seek to follow Jesus, and we seek to grow together. If these are things you connect to, come visit us. We hope you will share with us who you are and help shape our community. With much love, Oak Life Church.
Oak Life. What? Amelia, what is it? You threw me off, man. Sorry. I had this whole thing planned. I'm just playing. Oak Life, what is good this morning? If you've been rocking with us for a length of time that, precedes pandemic, this might look a little familiar and nostalgic. I got to tell you, Oak Lifers, I had the feels walking through the halls this morning. It is good to be back in the space. It'll be better when we're all here together. But for now, thank you for rocking with us, tuning in, joining in, worshiping with us in this capacity. Big love to the StreamYard Oak Life Familia. We'll be doing this kind of hybrid in-person online gathering for as long as we have an online community. So we love y'all, and we ask that you be patient with us. We jumped a lot of technical hurdles to get here. So if for whatever reason you hear and it just cuts off, know that we did our best.
But say what's up in the comments. I have my phone here so we can watch. And I don't know if you could tell, but we can have the comments on the screen behind us. This is kind of a test for next week when there's a bunch of us in the room. So if you're an online community person or in person, we'll all be able to interact and see each other's faces. And so say what's up in the comments. Hi, Emily. What's up, Aiden? Good morning, Beth. And it's going to be a fun experiment of a morning.
Yeah, it's going to be good times. Oh, man. Emily, I almost sent you a text to say, hey, we got to help fix our audio. But anyway, throwback to good times. Let us pray for this morning. Let us get into it. Terry will be leading us through a time of worship through song in just a moment. Again, testing out and working this kind of stream in-person hybrid blend. Without further ado, let us pray. Dear God, creator of all that is good, God of love, we thank you for today. We thank you for the joyful opportunities of new ventures that bring us back to warm memories of us being together. Lord, we ask that this day, everything involved in it, the conversations, the music, the listening, the tech, the clicking, the comments, the laughters, the reflection, the nostalgia, that all of it is guided by your spirit and brings us closer to your heart, your presence, and your love. We thank you for this morning. And in Christ's precious name, we pray these things. Amen.
When the mountains fall and the tempest roars, you are with me. When creation falls, so my soul will soar on your mercy. I'll walk
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun experiment as we integrate our online experience for this last year with in person as safely as we can. And so this is cool because you could be leading worship from San Diego, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, any Sunday you want for us here in person, and we can still be together as best we can. So we're going to go through announcements, and the big thing we're going to talk through today is the plan for going back to in-person, what that looks like. So we have a few different things Greg and I will kind of hammer through, and then we'll open up that particular announcement. And if you have questions, feel free to put them in the comments. You can also email us. But if you have questions about in-person, that'll be our last announcement. We'll spend time. We see the comments a little bit delayed, so go ahead and put them in now if you have them, or when we get there too, we'll have space for that. So first announcement is
community announcements. So make sure to put it in the chat. That way everybody can see it. We can all talk about it. It'll come up on the screen at some point during service. It'll be great.
Sweet. Next announcement is get your communion ready. We are going to continue this new tradition of starting communion, doing communion every week that happened during the pandemic. And if you have elements you want to go in your kitchen and get something, we'll be closing our service with some communion.
Oh, support. If you need support in the form of connection outside of just talking to community members, we have curated a list of mental health support. And in addition, if you would like to support this community, there is a link that will allow you to do just that.
I want to say what's up to Andy, Emily, saw a comment from Donna and the Fehrenbachers. Good morning, everyone. Good to see you. Excited to see a lot of you in person for the coming weeks.
Art night.
Ooh, okay, art night. Next announcement, October 21st. It's a Thursday night. We're going to live stream an art night. That'll be a remote event. We've already got one person to volunteer for a song and one person to volunteer for some stand-up comedy. So if you want to show anything at all, if you have it's funny, I'm looking around the room like I used to, like, oh, there's somebody up there in the front of it. It's only there. If you have anything you want to show, it is such a fun way to learn each other, to see each other's talents and skills. And if you have, photography or painting, or you make cool food, that's art. It's all art. We love for you to share it. It's pretty low entry. You just have to log on and show it to your computer screen, and we get to celebrate that together.
Boom.
So if you want to RSVP for that or submit something, just email the email on the slide. I think it's mine, chris@oaklifechurch.com.
Sweet. And if you have any questions regarding connection, be it you want to join a life group or you have an idea for a life group, by the way, let's do some life groups this year. All right, let's do it. If you are new to the community and you just have some questions, you want some one-on-one engagement or anything of the sort, feel free to email me. I have my email listed on the screen.
Next week, this is crazy. We're, as a church, turning 7, and it happens to coincide with the Sunday where we're gathering in person and online. So be sure to celebrate with us if you can, whether you're watching online or joining us in person. But it's kind of crazy that we're going to be 7 years old.
There's so much overlap there. The Jubilee, the restart, the replant. I mean, it's going to be fun times. It's going to be so fun. And speaking of newness, in-person gathering updates. So what do people need to be aware of? Because this is new.
Yeah, you're asking me.
No, I'm asking you.
So if you are planning on coming in person, everybody who's coming has to be vaccinated. That's both something we were leaning towards, but also it's the policy of our hosts, the new Parkway. The Parkway will be a vaccine-only theater. And so everyone has to RSVP the week of. RSVPs will be open on Monday each week and close on Friday. So at some point during the week, you have to let us know so we can plan ahead. And there will also be kind of a cap to keep social safe distancing in the room. So RSVP early. If for some reason we don't know what attendance is going to be like, and so if it fills up the first week, don't worry. There'll be spaces throughout the upcoming weeks. And the first time you RSVP, you're going to have to show proof of vaccination. And there'll be an RSVP form that has a link that you can email a screenshot or something. And once you do that once, you don't have to do that again. And again, this is the Parkway policy. They're requiring all attendees to show vaccinations. And it's a way for us to model safety, to mitigate as much risk as we can, to love our community and those outside, to keep COVID from spreading to those, especially those who are vulnerable. What else?
If you want to review all of that, because it just kind of went over my head and I already know the information, there is a link. If you go to our website, oaklifechurch.com/in-person, all of the rhetoric is listed out for you. If you don't want to read it, Chris and I recorded Roots and Branches where we talk through all of the details. So you can just check the YouTube page for that. It's everything you need to know about going back to in-person. And yeah, all the detail is there. And if you have questions, again, just reach out. Totally cool.
There's maybe two other things to hit. I didn't mention masks. We're not wearing them now. There's just a couple of us, and we're going to have it in a pod this year. But it's going to be, at least at first, for the first few months until regulations change, a mask required for the entirety of service. And so we'll be switching around some elements during the service. You'll have to wear a mask. And then childcare will be offered. Children are the one exception for vaccinations. And childcare will be offered every first and third Sunday. And for those families who aren't quite comfortable having their kids in a space because kids aren't vaccinated yet, we're going to do a once-a-month family gathering, I think on the third Sundays, and we'll start announcing the first one, but it's October 17th at a park. And Andy at oaklifechurch.com is our current childcare director, and she can get you all the info for that. It's also all in the newsletter. So any questions? Are you seeing any comments or questions, Darren? Cool.
Interesting. Last thing, a little tidbit to practice safety. We, as Chris mentioned, will continue to do communion. It'll look different as we're in person, so more details to come. But yeah, it'll still be very much a part of service, just with some subtle changes.
Yeah, we're excited to be together. And this new season we're entering will be, an experiment. It'll be different. It'll be going back to some familiar things, but entering into a not familiar space as well. So let's all just enjoy it, enjoy the awkwardness of it, learn how to do socialization again, and celebrate the fact that we can be together and worship in the same room or online still for the first time it'll be like 19 months, 20 months, something like that. So we're excited. Oh, so excited. We are too bad.
Emily, how is that even possible? By the grace of God, the goodness of our Creator. All right, anything else for announcements? For all these announcements and more, check out the newsletter. You can email this guy. Link is on the screen. You want to say something?
I was going to say hi to Adam.
Oh,
hi, Adam.
What's up, fam? We got to go around the lake one more time. Overdue.
So, okay. So now we're going to do couch conversations. So you'll see some prompts on the screen. Chat it up, and we'll see you back for a little sermonette and some reflection on Oak Life and who Oak Life is in just a minute. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Like seeing the chats. I also miss hugs and just the intimacy that comes with community. That's a good comment. And loving seeing the faces here on my phone, and I'm excited to see you all in person soon. So we are closing out the conversation that we called Who Are We Now? By reflecting on who Oak Life is now, as we consider what it's been like to be a church over the pandemic, and as we enter into the next season. We're going to look back at this last 18, 19 months through some Instagram pictures and just kind of celebrate all that's happened. And as I was thinking about entering into a familiar space that you used to know, but it's changed, I was reminded of this time when I lived in Las Vegas. Actually, right after high school, I went to Vegas and worked for this service organization. And we did lots of really cool stuff. We ran some homeless shelters, and we lived in community. It was like this kind of little idealistic commune, if you will, in a not creepy way, for young people to serve. And I look back on it, there's some issues with it, but overall I have fond memories. And it was such a formative time. Like, I don't know if you've ever had a time or in a space where you have such good memories of a place. Maybe it's the Parkway, maybe it's high school, maybe it's like a place to visit, a place you used to live, some people you used to hang out with. Well, Vegas was like that. It was like this exciting place. And a couple years later, I go back to Vegas, and it was the same, but it was not the same. Like, I went back and, okay, some of these buildings were there, but that building certainly wasn't. And the people I'm used to seeing aren't there as well. Have you ever had that experience where you go back to something that you used to know so well, it used to be a huge part of your life, and that thing is the same, but it's not the same? I think that's kind of what we'll be doing over the coming weeks. And this actually is a very common experience for the Israelites, for the people of God in the Hebrew Bible. They would often be disrupted from one place and then come back, and it's the same, but it's not the same. They've changed. The world has changed. Who are they now? Who is God now after all this disruption? So with that in mind, I want to read to you a passage of scripture that comes from this very context. And I'm going to read sections of Proverbs 3. And I'll get into some of the context of it in just a moment, and even show you a cool picture of just to get you some context. But let's just hear these words today. This is the Message paraphrase. So you may have heard this this section of scripture, and maybe this is a way to hear it afresh. Proverbs 3, 5 through 8, and 25 through 26. Trust God from the bottom of your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. Listen for God's voice in everything you do, everywhere you go. This is the voice that will guide your paths. Don't assume that you know it all. Run to God and run from evil. No need to panic over alarms or surprises or predictions that doomsday's just around the corner, because God will be right there with you. What a beautiful and encouraging passage of scripture from the Hebrew Bible, from the Hebrew scriptures. Don't lean on your own understanding, but trust that God is with you. Trust that there is a benevolence beyond it all, even if things don't make sense here, that will make sense of it somehow, in some way, in love, in God's timing. This is a beautiful passage kind of universally, but I think if you understand the context in which it was written, even more so. Traditionally, Proverbs is attributed to King Solomon, and most biblical scholars would say that's not actually historically accurate. It's in the tradition of Solomon, and they're kind of attributing it to Solomon in the same way that we say all our founding fathers had this idea or that idea. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but we kind of group it all together. Solomon was a pillar in their history and their culture, and so they're rooting themselves in that history. And so this is more in the spirit of King Solomon, but it was actually written after King Solomon. The book, as one commentator said, the book received its final editing during the post-exilic period in the 6th century BCE and later. What does that mean? That means that this passage was written as the people of God in the Hebrew Bible were leaving exile in Babylon and coming back to their homeland. And they're trying to form their culture again and remember who they are. if you know the story, I think of a picture of an artist's rendition of the story. Their homeland is completely destroyed, occupied, and conquered by a foreign empire. And they're all brought, the majority of them are brought into this foreign country to live for generations. And they remembered home. They remember what it used to be like back home and the way life was. But they were in this long, extended period of disruption. And a lot of actually some incredibly poetic and beautiful scriptures and songs come from this period of time, this time of disruption and struggle. I think that's true of the pandemic as well for us, that this was hard, but it's also a lot of beautiful things emerge. And so as they move back, as they're allowed to enter back into their homeland, they enter into the season of who are we now? What is life now? Where's God now? And this is the passage, one of the passages that come out of that season. Trust in God. There might be predictions of doomsday and uncertainty ahead, but ultimately, God will still be there guiding us, no matter what happens. Maybe for you, there's a lot of uncertainty ahead, and you're asking, how have I changed? Who am I now? What's the world going to be like tomorrow, in 6 months, or a year? Ultimately, we don't know. All we know, this is a claim of our faith. This is the thing that I think centers all of us and fuels our community, is that God will be with us. And we need to remember that always. And that's why we gather, to remind ourselves over and over that the world is crazy, the world is upside down, life is hard, there's no certainty. What is certain is that God will be with us. God's voice will guide us and lead us. And it's in love. I think this is the choice of faith, that ultimately the craziness of the world won't get the last word. That benevolence, that love, that beauty, and the goodness will somehow, some way. And we choose to live into that reality even when it doesn't look that way on the ground. As I look back on this last year in Oak Life, in this community, even in my own life, I've seen this to be true. And so maybe for you, as we do some reflection on the last year, you can also think about your life and look back and see where God was. Often we don't realize it until it's in hindsight, until we can look back and remember, oh yeah, I was really struggling then, but somehow I got out of it. Like that was a low point. But right now I'm not in that low point anymore. What helped me get through that? Maybe it was the love of community. Maybe it was healthcare or medication, all these things that are miracles in a sense. Let's look back together. So in the spirit of sentimentality, but also fun, and kind of closing off this season, entering to the next season, and because it's almost our birthday, I thought I'd invite Greg back up here, and we can go through some slides. Now, this does not capture all of Oak Life, certainly. No, actually, it's just impossible to capture the life of a community because there's so much to it. There's so much happening all the time. But this is a way to kind of look back and remember where we've been, what we've gone through. And this is one glimpse into that. All of us have our own story we could do this with. So as Greg comes up, I'm going to say hi to everybody. What's up, Maeva? What's up, Greg Sr.? Good to see you. Miss you. And okay, this is the pandemic church reflection. So we might have to move so we can look at the screen.
Oh, yeah.
Because it'll be delayed here. So we're going to stand up. You get to watch the slides. We'll be on the small screen, and you'll hear us talk. So here we go. We can mostly see it. Pandemic church reflections. You go to the next slide. So a little over 18 months ago, we all got the news of this pandemic and the COVID-19 virus. And I remember the uncertainty. Do you remember actually we were supposed to both be on parental leave, and It was like, what do we do?
Yeah.
It was kind of scramble moment. I do remember I had you come over to my house to pre-record a worship service.
Yep.
So we thought it'd be like a week.
Yep.
All right, we're done. We'll take a couple weeks off. So this is kind of the initial starting point, and we went on virtual church at that time on Zoom.
You remember what happened to the pre-recorded service?
Didn't work. And I did it on Facebook in my office. A one-man service.
Oh man, tech. Love it. Gotta love it.
You don't learn that in seminary.
Yeah, nobody. Look how tiny Willow is. Ah, yeah, she was like a week old. She was a short stack.
Let's keep going.
All right.
You know, this was.
What
are we doing here?
We're doing the group hug.
That's it. That's it. Only reason I put this in the
Okay.
slides.
Nice. Yeah, that was kind of an Oak Life staple for a while. with the pandemic?
Oh, since it's on the screen, I'll take this one.
I appreciate it.
Somebody had the idea of doing a day in the life of. And so for the first month and a half or so, different Oak Lifers took over our IG. And we did a day in the life of. And also Amira was posting Bible verses for a month. And that was pretty cool. So just seeing people step up and extend community to each other is really cool.
Day in the life was awesome.
It's
That
still,
was actually a highlight.
It was cool.
Pandemic.
And it's still, like, the highlights are still on our IG. So if you
Yeah.
want to watch that, you can.
Good stuff.
Oh, and we had Easter, our first Easter remote. And this is a video of some of the kids at Easter.
So cute. Let's watch it.
We miss you at church, so I'm so sorry we are unable to meet right now, but we will soon. I hope you're having a nice time with your mom and dad. I hope you enjoy the goodies. Happy Easter, Andy and Oak Life. Yay!
What is that?
What is these boxes?
The Easter Bunny. The Easter Bunny.
There's 2 eggs in here too.
Hey, Elliot.
Rising, okay? From the dead.
It means a new beginning. So
Yeah,
New
great.
beginning.
yeah.
Yeah. Happy Easter, everybody.
It's good. Good job, all the parents. Everyone, the last year and a half has been rough. Uniquely, it's a struggle for everybody in a unique way. And so we honor the parents and pandemic parents. It's real. And it's crazy to see those kids and see how they've grown.
Shout out to Andy for the tackling of kids, both literally and figuratively. I'm just playing. It's good stuff.
So this is just some other stuff that happened throughout the year. Darren actually helped collect a bunch of masks. At that point, we didn't know how long this was going to be, and a lot of folks who were houseless maybe didn't have access, so we collected tons of those. The justice team did some write-in parties to advocate for our houseless neighbors, to our local government officials. Gina was finishing up her spiritual formation internship and was leading these WITH groups. A lot of stuff. We did IG. This is a picture of Greg and I were doing a weekly check-in. Mostly we're okay.
They're all right. A little devotional during the week. Just an opportunity to create another touch point in the midst of isolation, just having a space for people to connect. It was fun. As you can see, we had fun anyway.
We started doing communion every week. This was something we didn't expect. In Oak Life's history, we had done communion like once every 6 or 7 weeks, basically once every series. We'd find a Sunday to do it. And then we're like, how do we make online church more engaging and unifying and like experiential, something you can taste and touch rather than just look at a screen? And it was like clear, it felt like a God green light, like let's start communion and do that every week. And in the beginning, we had folks bake bread together or like share bread. And I know of a couple people who became like really good friends because they went over to somebody else's house and picked up some bread. And lots of different people had led communion. That's another thing, like something we didn't do before. It's a cool God thing that lots of people were leading us in the feast.
There was a lot of turmoil during the summer in regards to just racial disparity hitting all-time high as far as media is concerned, and everything specifically in Oakland. There was the riots, and there was a lot of Oak Life members that were taking part. And it was a heavy time for sure. And there's there's no way to really do justice considering that everything is not different regarding it. But it was definitely a significant point in the summer when we entered the pandemic.
Yeah, in our country and our church. I'm just glad that we're in a place where we can be together and demonstrate and advocate for justice as a community. Like, I was grateful for the ways people responded, that we tried to provide as much space as we could, and I'm grateful at Oak Life. I think we'd call it, like, as much as we can be, an anti-racist church, and trying to learn what that means. And I think a lot of that came out in our country, but in even our own community last summer. The smoke, that's the orange day. That was not fun. I remember we did some sort of service that day, and it was like, I was just checking in because it filled everyone with dread and gloom. If you were around Oakland and Barrie that day, it was weird. It felt like the author Proverbs said, it felt like there's rumors of the apocalypse happening or something.
When the sky matches the hue of the president at the time, it's a bad sign.
And feel free to chat, say what's up, share memories of the last year for you, in particular, you with the faith community. Charlotte, talking about some of her frustrations with the mayor and local police institutions. Yeah, it was real. A lot of us, it was a real hard time. Thanks for sharing that, Charlotte. Some of the beauty that was coming out around, people stayed together. Like, there were some life groups that just kept going. In particular, gigantic, huge shout out to our LGBT plus life group. Like, I've heard so many stories of that space being healing and needed and safe, and it's amazing to me. Like, that group is so inspiring to me. Thank you. Eric doesn't like to take a lot of credit, but Eric was one of the point people. So thank you for hosting that space.
This group is definitely the standard. I would say a big percentage of all the love that I hear from Oak Life is connected somehow to this group. It's a dope group. Seriously, dope people.
And the kiddos kept meeting. Andy was hosting spaces for all them. It's pumpkin carving. Oak Life continued to do works of service and justice. You see that? What's that top one over there?
That's the Thanksgiving turkey Operation Cranberry, which was hilarious because this year we had masks, and I guess people couldn't necessarily recognize us. And as people were coming up, they were taking pride in their community, saying, "I've been doing this. I've been coming getting the turkey since they started. And who are you?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I help out." And it was just funny. It was having a good opportunity to stay connected to the community and the people that make Oak Life what it is, and Oakland what it is. It was good. It was good.
It's awesome. Yeah, I agree. And yes, so lots of ways that we've continued to extend our branches out into the community, whether it's taking a stand, making a statement on an issue of injustice, or Third Sundays. This is a thank you letter from one of our Third Sunday partners. Throughout it all, it's pretty incredible. Actually, our leadership team voted to increase our giving during the pandemic to outside organizations. Instead of operating kind of a scarcity mindset, kept wanting to do the work of good.
Pretty significant increase too. It's just dope.
Like Christmas.
Oh man, if you were watching and you was around Oak Life at this time and you got to enjoy the goodness of this amalgamation of awesomeness, then kudos to you. If you have not, it is somewhere on our YouTubes. The Christmas extravaganza. It was a sight to behold. It was fun to be a part of. Hit that like button. Shout out to January, the artist, who has new music dropping, BT Dubs. But yeah, that was fun. Oh man, that was good times.
We did a Secret Santa. That was a cool way to stay connected. You could just send people gifts. I think like 40 people did a Secret Santa. And we did Advent candles at home. Yeah, that Christmas video, there were a lot of it. There were a lot of things that were amazing to that. And we had a Christmas service too. So that was a highlight. I'll always remember. It might be one of my favorite Christmases as a church, even though we were doing it all online. Yeah. It was super fun.
There was some magical. Shout out to Behold Creators for just the imagery. It was majestic. It was good times. Good times.
Gloria was a good song, Andy.
We want to
watch one more cute video of the kids. You can see them progressing, growing up. I think this is the last one of the kids, but it's special to see.
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas, Oak Life. Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Jingle bell, jingle all the way. Oh, and finally, yes, you added a one. Sleigh.
Awesome. That Alex singing Jingle Bells might be one of the highlights of the last year too.
Easy. Top 5 best moments past 18 months. All the kiddos. Yeah. We love seeing the kiddos too.
Oh, we started something.
Oh, that's right.
What was this?
This was, I think it was called the Humans of Oak Life, which we stole from the Humans of New York. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. But it was an opportunity to kind of not replace, but without the engaging conversation kind of before service, we tried to do the coffee time in the AM, kind of dwindle with the participation, a lot of screen time. But here we had an opportunity to get that conversation, that personal touch around the individuals that make Oak Life all that it is. We had a ton of OGs. We had a handful of new people that we really just got to see who made the community that we call Oak Life. So it was fun times.
Yeah, I think we had like 50 plus people share and engage with service. Some people, like, I had never actually talked to in person. We got to have them share who they are to our whole community. What a cool way to stay connected. Then this last Easter, we did one of our first in-person anythings where we offered new life plants. And Hannah and Andy put that on, and folks came and picked up some plants. It was awesome. And again, there are people who were walking up. I would just get emotional seeing them walk down the street because it's been a year since we'd seen each other in person. And these are people you see every week. I'm down Maeva for some sort of printed one. I bet we can do a zine, and we can bring back that idea. That's an old school Oak Life idea.
What year too? Oh yeah. So Chris took a sabbatical. Overdue. A lot of fun story behind that actually. But in the time that Chris took a much needed break, we had Dev Cooney come through and lead a 3-month conversation series, which is definitely new for Oak Life. We've never done a series that long. And it was a very intricate insight to the fruits of the Spirit, where each week we had an actual fruit to kind of anchor us. And my favorite part about it was the splash of neuroscience that kind of explained why we operate in a certain way, comparing the natural fruit of the Spirit to the more GMO human side in imitation of the Spirit. It was really insightful, and the beauty of YouTube is it's still on. So if you haven't checked it out, I highly encourage you to watch it.
Yeah, I've seen some thank yous for Deb. Deb, if you do watch this, you did awesome, and thanks for leading our church in that space. Yeah, it was really cool. Here's some Third Sunday. Like we mentioned, keeping that up. So we just want to show some of the organizations for the last 8 or 9 months. Not included. I also threw a picture of Project Peace, the day of service. A couple of people went and helped out by partnering with other churches and serving. So just this, even though we couldn't meet in person, the work of compassion, the work of service, even the work of justice kept going. Pretty amazing.
Some of our guest speakers sprinkled in to the sabbatical, and even some prior to the sabbatical, just some snapshots of the guests that we had come lead the conversations. Some amazing humans of Oak Life, extended family, right? Yeah, we'll have more to come.
And what a gift to have be part of a broader community.
Oh yeah.
That brings us to a couple weeks ago when we did our first gathering in person outdoors over at Hive, and it was pretty emotional. Like we read through some prayers from the pandemic prayer wall and open up space for people in the community to continue to pray and just start to ease back into being together and learn what it means to be in a group again. So, what fun little gift. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Matt, for snapping some photos, too.
Definitely.
And we just did our last picnic a couple weeks ago. Again, just finding ways to ease back into this all and remember what it's like to hang out, which is fun. There were a couple times I was tired after the picnics, to be honest, because it's going to be weird, like doing all this again.
Yeah, the social muscle is one that is atrophied a bit.
Yep.
So that totally makes sense. It's been fun easing back in.
Yeah, I agree. And so what's next? Well, we don't know exactly. We don't know. It's going to be coming back into something familiar, but different. And there's going to be new norms for how we interact. And we're probably going to have some anxiety and fear, many of us, that's going to be lingering as we enter into this new season. And the hope of our faith, again, is that we don't have to have all the answers. We don't have to have it figured out. We should be as thoughtful and wise and loving as we can. But ultimately, God will walk with us. God will guide us. And so as we look back in this last year and just consider, like, who are we? Who is Oak Life? Well, I think Oak Life is these stories and more. The pictures we looked at, the stories of people finding ways to stay in community, finding ways to reflect their faith in the world, finding ways that their faith and following Jesus intersects with racial injustice, environmental injustice, people who need love and support, and that will continue. Often we want to get ahead of ourselves and think about what's next and make plans, but we ultimately don't know. And I think one of the best ways you can see what the future might hold is to look back, and that's what we just did. So maybe for you, the process this morning is to think about the ways God has shown up, some of the lessons from the pandemic that you don't want to forget about, and see that as kind of the traction of where God is already moving. And so Oak Life, I'm genuinely excited, a little stressed because we have a lot of tech stuff to figure out. You should have seen Greg and I this morning, and Darren as well, like running around the parkway trying to, how do we do this? But I know God will be with us when we be together. And I'm so excited to see you all in this space, continue to see you all online, and it's going to be fun. So who is Oak Life now? Who are we now? We're people that are, how do you say it, Greg? Everyday people trying to...
learning to live, love, fight, and follow as Jesus did and continues to do.
Amen. Amen. Well, if you have your communion elements ready, if you don't mind getting those out, we're going to close with communion and some singing. And we might have some background music for this. Yeah. And, this is probably one of my favorite things about the pandemic was communion. I have a soft spot for it. I know everyone's experience is a little bit different depending on their background. But there was a major juxtaposition of not doing it with people and then doing it with people at Heist a couple weeks ago. And then even at some of the darkest moments for us as a church, the day we got Zoom bombed, we ended up coming back on the screens afterwards, but it was all black. All the screens were blacked out, and we still did communion. And I was a weepy mess, thinking about what this means, what the bread and the cup mean, as signs of God's love for us that enter even into the darkest of moments. This is the death of the divine on the cross, that even the hatred of humanity, the pain of death itself, does not get the last word. That God enters into that, takes it all on in love, and then overcomes it in solidarity and togetherness and perseverance and victory. And that the struggles of this time, the struggles of our life, struggles of our days, our world, our church, these are real. And we don't have a faith and a love that is separate from those things. We have to clean up those things before we can experience that love. That love enters into it all with us. So we may not have all the answers. What we do have is a God of love who's near. So on the night that Jesus was betrayed, was to be crucified, he was with his friends. He looked around the room and made eye contact, and memories of stories and experiences from their lives were likely coming up, and emotions were coming up. Fear, happiness, all of it. All of your emotions come up. All of ours. And he took some bread and looking at his friends, he broke it and said, "This is my body broken for you." In the same way, he took the cup. And maybe it was in a chalice and he poured it out. We don't know exactly how he did it, but he took the cup of grape juice or wine and said, "This is my blood shed for you for the forgiveness of sins." It's a sign of a new way, a different reality than our world's. Where the world speaks death, I speak life. Where the world speaks hatred, I speak compassion and mercy and grace. Where there is darkness, I'm light. And so they ate and they drank, honoring what these elements symbolize. That we need to be nourished by something beyond ourselves. And that nourishment in Christ becomes who we are. We become what we eat to our neighbors, to our community, to our family, to our world. So Oak Life, when you come to the table in your house, on your couch, and your desk, wherever you are, and remember God's nearness with you, God's nourishment sustaining for you, as God's been doing this whole year, this whole 19 months, and will continue to do so even into eternity. So let's feast. I lean not on my own understanding. My life is in the hands of the maker of heaven. I lean not on my own understanding. My life is in the hands of the maker of heaven. I give it all to you, God, trusting that you'll make something beautiful out of me. I give it all to you, God, trusting that you'll make something beautiful out of me. I lean not on my own understanding. My life is in the hands of the maker of heaven. I lean not on my own understanding. My life is in the hands of heaven. I give it all to you, God, trusting that you make something beautiful out of me. I give it all to you, God, trusting that you make something beautiful out of me. So I will climb this mountain with my hands wide open. I will climb this mountain with my hands wide open. I will climb this mountain with my hands wide open. I will climb this mountain with my hands wide open. We will climb this mountain with our hands wide open. We will climb this mountain with our hands wide open. We will climb this mountain with our hands wide open. We will climb this mountain with our hands. There's nothing we hold on to. There's nothing we hold on to. Nothing we hold on to. 'Cause we're holding on to you. Nothing we hold on to. There's nothing we hold on to. Nothing we hold on to. Hold on to. Nothing we hold on to. Nothing we hold on to. Nothing we hold on to. Hold on to. We lean not on our own understanding. Our lives are in the hands of the maker of heaven. We lean not on our own understanding. Our lives are in the hands of the maker of heaven. We give it all to you, God,
trusting that you make something beautiful out of this. We give it all to you, God, trusting that you make something beautiful out of us. And all God's people, wherever you are, say amen. Hope Life Familia, it has been an honor, a privilege, and a gift to rock with you all. I'm very, 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 very much excited to do so in person once again. That said, we will close out with the benediction. Any closing thoughts before that?
Nope.
That was Chris Ford. Love y'all. Can't wait to see y'all next week. Continue to live, love, fight, and follow as Jesus did and does. We love you, fam. And with that being said, if you want to, rise if you're willing and able. God of love, may we be people who learn to love ourselves as you love us, reflecting your goodness to those around us as we seek glimmers of heaven here on earth. Give us eyes and ears to sense your presence everywhere and hearts that break with what breaks yours. Be with us now as we go forth to love and serve the world, in person or from a distance. Amen. In closing out, our service is a shout out to a song that kept us together through it all. Peace, Oak Life.
My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness.
I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but only lean on Jesus' name.
On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand.
All other ground is sinking sand. Darkness tries to hide his face,
I rest on his unchanging grace.
and every high and stormy gale my anchor holds within the veil. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All